So today's the longest day of the year. What happens in Spain in the summer is that basically to get a beautiful red dawn you need clouds, and as you can see, height of summer solstice, we've got not a cloud in the sky. So what happens is it just gets very gradually lighter, which is not very spectacular at all. But what will be spectacular is the light you can see coming up over the hill there is going to light up these terraces here. So yeah, great excitement now because the sun is actually up, and very soon now it's going to catch that terrace. And before that happens, I'm going to take a couple of shots here. I really love the way this looks. Some shots from up here. So the point of this video is to record a whole day, like the longest day we have in Spain, which is more than 16 hours of sunlight. Now, I've been up since 6 o'clock. Official sunrise was 7:30, or just before 7:30. So it's going to carry on till something like 9:30 tonight. So yeah, getting on 60 is getting on for 18 hours. It's a lot of sunlight, and I'm looking ahead at the day, feeling somewhat daunted at the prospect of still being up shooting that much later. But we'll see how it goes. This is the light we've been waiting for. Yeah, so this early morning shoot was quite successful in the terms that I'd set for it. So I wanted to get the early morning light. We got that, we captured it, it was fine. The photographs were okay. The big revelation. This is the Canon EOS R50v. Now, this is a new camera from Canon, and it's been sort of heralded as being the Sony killer. And I've got to say I am quite impressed with it. I'm not, I did talk about this in a video that I released last week, link up above to that. But the upshot was that I didn't feel comfortable sort of photographing and videoing at the same time. And I'm not saying this is going to change that, but it does make it a lot easier because A, it's light, it's tiny, so the handprint is, the footprint of the camera is less than the length of my hand. It's exceptionally light. I bought it with the Canon RFS 1430 lens, and I'm going to get, in due course, another lens for it for a couple of reasons. One is Canon have outsourced some of the RF lens creation to Sigma, and Sigma are actually, by all accounts, doing a really good job of it. So I'm going to get, the reason I wanted this lens was because it has power zoom, and actually the zoom on this is very, very good, very smooth. It takes a little bit of getting used to because it responds to basically the force of your finger on the zoom button. So if you're sort of cack-handed, you can turn a smooth zoom jerky that I managed to do a couple of times. But actually, this is good. It's got in-body stabilization, so you can walk and talk with this camera. I don't have a gimbal for it, so I can't sort of walk and talk with it out here. It just doesn't feel very comfortable. So I'm going to wait really until I've got a gimbal for it before I do that. But yeah, I'm certainly very impressed with it. The quality of the video is great. The thing that surprised me a little bit was because I was under the impression that it was primarily a video camera. All of the visible controls are to do with video, and in order to shoot in RAW, you can set yourself up a profile, but you can go on the flip screen, alter the aperture, ISO, shutter speed and so on manually. It's not quite as quick as doing it to, I used to, I could do it with muscle memory sort of in the dark, so that was how long I'd been using DSLRs for. So this is a totally different ball game, but I've no doubt that I'll get used to it quickly. I have the screen turned up really bright because the sunshine in Spain is really bright. And I found that I was able to see the screen with no problem at all, so that's good. However, it does eat the battery, so that's one consideration to bear in mind. Okay, so that being said, what we're going to do now, in the middle of the day, sun's getting high, landscape's looking pretty washed out, so we're going to go into Granada and spend a few hours shooting in Granada. Granada, here we come. Yeah, so this is one of my favourite places in Granada. This is Plaza Trinidad. Very peaceful and very cool in the summer, which is what you want. The fountain, unfortunately, has no water in it, but and this is where you can come and really watch people come and go in Granada. It's fantastic. Very, very quiet. Very close to the student district. Yeah, so this square looks like it should be called the Plaza Trinidad, but it isn't. But this really does look the part. And this is where, this is the big open square, and this is where the accursed tourist bus stops. So this is an ordeal that I think nobody should really have put themselves through. Absolutely terrible. Beautiful shady place, and the reason I keep going on about beautiful shady places is because it is so insufferably hot in Granada, and as the summer goes on it's just going to get hotter and hotter and hotter. I mean, these streets you can practically fry an egg on. Yeah, continuing with this theme of keeping to the shadows. So you find yourself sort of flitting about like some sort of goth, keeping in the shadows at all costs. Do not get in the sun. Yeah, so a little bit closer on that building at the end. Definitely one of my favourites in Granada. Okay, and last stop is the Botanic Gardens. This is one of my favourite places. Absolutely fantastic. Yeah, here we go. And up we go. Yeah, so that was the coolest spots in Granada, literally. Summer in Granada is very, very hot indeed, and really you do find yourself flitting from spot to spot, avoiding the sunshine if you possibly can. But hey, it can get worse. Let's go down to the Rio Durcal Gorge. This used to be a public walk, and there was a time when the local council used to keep these walks really good, and this was a fabulous lookout point actually, because you could see right through the valley. The valley which is now completely deserted, so let's go and have a look at that. So a little bit of a breeze getting up, which is very welcome, I have to say, because it is absolutely scorchio. Yeah, I think this bit is completely magical, and the reason I think that is because this used to be a farm, and over the decades what's happened here is that you can't get the heavy machinery down here, so modernisation has come in. This all used to be done by hand, and they can't get tractors down here, so it's much easier not to cultivate it, and consequently it's gone completely wild. And I think it's just beautiful. The first time I came down here, there was no clearance. That was in the distance, was just a mess of bamboo. And this was like Jurassic Park without the dinosaurs. It was one of the most beautiful spots ever. Let's take a closer look. Yeah, another view of the terraces here. It's just lovely. You can see clearly, I mean, this was walls built by human hands. This hillside divided up into terraces, and those are olive trees over there, I think. Yeah, so down here in the bottom of the valley it's almost completely different weather. Quite incredible, baking hot up top, but down here it's relatively cool, and how much of that is psychological I don't know, but what I've got here is the trickling of the river. This is the Rio Durcal. 6 months ago, with all the melts, the snow melt off the mountains, this was a raging torrent, impossible to cross, but now it looks like you can easily get across it. Okay, so this rock, I reckon it's about twice as high as me, so it's at least 12 feet high at the high end, and you know, pretty much cubic in the sense. So it's a really big boulder. You know, any sort of notices they used to have when they were doing the clearance about wearing hard hats and so on. Hard hat, that is not going to be any use at all if a rock that size falls on you. And that will have come down the mountain probably at sort of 40 or 50 miles an hour, just a guess, so no way back from that. Okay guys, let's go back now. We've got another hike to do this evening, and I think it's time we got prepared for that. This is a walk that I often do. It's literally yards from my front door, well, perhaps 100 yards from my front door, but it goes up around the mountain and you can see right down into the gorge from here. So up through the pine forests, have a quick look at the windmills. The gorge is really quite breathtaking. This was actually not burrowed out by the river, but this was a geological slip. It's a fault line. God knows what lives here. Yeah, these woods get quite magical at times, especially this time of night. Walking along here. And this is the view down across the Lecrin Valley to the reservoir from the hills above Conchar. That was Ruta de los Pinos. That's a 3.5k walk that I do a few times a week, really, just for keep myself in shape. And the ever-changing lighting conditions up there make it a really interesting place to photograph. But anyway, we're on the last lap now. Let's go and have a look at the sunset. So the sun has quite literally just gone down below the horizon. And what's going to happen here is that effectively whole sky will turn yellow in a second or two. Just got here in time. And there's a really nicely placed cloud up above it. So this is the sort of thing that you can turn up 5 times out of 10. It doesn't work. There's nothing to shoot. And sometimes it's there, sometimes it works. There's no rhyme or reason to it. I'll probably, if I learn to read the weather better. It's worth continuing to shoot because I'm going to put a longer lens on. Okay guys, so that's the end of it. I was totally exhausted after this, after all of that. Absolute madness. I have no idea what I was thinking of. I may do one for the winter solstice, but that will be 10 minutes after breakfast, right? So never ever again. All right. Thanks for watching. If you've got any questions, comments, observations, please put them in down below the video. Give us a tick. And if you like the video and want to see more, then subscribe to the channel. There'll be plenty more like this coming further down the line. Thanks a lot, guys. See you later. Bye.